Good morning, everyone. My name is Vida Schmidt. I'm CEO at Carrier Community. Eric, thank you so much for the kind introduction as well. My speech is very short. I'm very delighted and excited to welcome you all. Very short, yeah. On behalf of the CC team, and it's we're honored to be here back at the CC-TIS Summit in Rome. This gorgeous city and at the Parco dei Principi. Thank you so much also to Sparkle, Enrico, and the entire team, Daniela, and everyone for your tremendous support and trust once again, and for making this CC-TIS happen again here in Rome successfully. Also, all other official sponsors and exhibitors, thank you so much for being part of this summit and for your tremendous support. Today and tomorrow, we hosted a number of panel discussion, knowledge sharing sessions, and thank you to all speaker panelists and of course moderators for taking their invaluable time and sharing their expertise, knowledge and insight with all of us and addressing the most relevant topics within our industry and market, from submarine data center security, ISP, and etc. Thank you all again for joining, and tonight I'm looking forward to meet you at the evening reception hosted by Carrier Community and Juniper Networks. And I wish you a nice stay with us, and we are here to help and assist. And yes, enjoy your stay. And now I would like to officially hand over the microphone to Enrico for kicking off officially and giving his keynote's welcome speech. And once again, on behalf of the entire CC team, congratulations, Enrico, for your new position. Now you're on the helm to make the decisions, and but we wish you all the best. Yeah, and over to you, Enrico. Microphone.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Vida. Okay, good. Welcome to Rome. Welcome to all of you, and thank you to Carrier Community for hosting, preparing again this event. I really am a true believer of human-to-human contact. As much as we do many things online, I think nothing really can substitute a face-to-face meeting or a handshaking. So this opportunity to meet all of you and to give you an opportunity to shake hands among yourself, I think it's very valuable, and we should make the best out of it. It's a good opportunity for us to meet service providers, to meet many people we do business with, many people they do business with us, providers, customers. So the event again is a catalyst for many things. Yes, I am now in this position since about 9 months. One of my favorite joke, which is a bit worn now actually, is that being the CTO for 3 years before that, I have no one to blame. So whatever I find, I'm responsible for, partly at least. So I have to live with it, and but that's for part of life. So today I wanted to share some of my views. Maybe these topics can be then part of the discussions that many experts will then can debate. And this is the first chart. This is the traditional first chart every speech starts with, but it remains true with maybe some specific analysis I wanted to share with you. Well, the first statement is obvious, but it's really the essence of what we do, you know? The essence of what we do is that broadband connectivity is now essential, meaning that our society, our professional life, our personal life does not work without digital, without broadband. And we really need to keep this in mind, because out of this, many things come. Now, as a consequence of this, the second statement is also very important. And what we see in the market, the request we get, and the focus we put in building our network is that resilience is becoming more and more relevant. And in some cases, resilience is even more important than just more broadband. Of course, connectivity is the basis. Connectivity is necessary, but many of our customers now find alternative routes and resilience of the network even more important than just more megabits, more gigabits, and more terabits, because of the broadband being essential. So you really need to provide 100% of functionality, continuity of the service. And then there is money. Of course, money is again is something we live every day. Money on the cost side, money on the market side, on the revenue side. Money is the game, is the name of the game. But for a carrier like us that work basically almost, let's say, all over the world, we operate in 40 countries. We see very interesting phenomena whereby the same good has a very different price in different parts of the world. And this is due to the specific situation of that market. Can be more or less competitive, more or less monopoly, more or less critical, because there are few infrastructures, so you pay more for the same 100 gig and so on. And you see here some charts whereby, as an example below, there are some example of routes like Hong Kong, Singapore, Marseille, Singapore, but of course you can choose whatever you like, whereby the aggregated, the CAGR over the light period, the 16 to 19, is very different from the 1922, as an example, and very different one another. Of course, it's not just a matter of different lengths of the circuit, but it's, again, the criticality of the situation, the availability of infrastructure, the market that drives such specific areas, and so on and so forth. So we have to become more and more smart, and I would say more and more smart to choose the right options, okay? Choose the right market, because with the same efforts, you really could get a very different business. Now, becoming smart today is a matter of knowledge, is a matter of human skill, is a matter of course, the human factor, but more and more is also a matter of the data you have and your ability to understand the data and take out of the data information that can support your decision, your choice, your investments, and so on. So all of this is really a very complicated, but also a very challenging mix of things: human knowledge, tools, design of the network, understanding of the market, that really make our world what it is, a very interesting market, a very dynamic market, a very, challenging for the brain. Everything we do really requires all of us to think. Nothing comes automatically. Nothing comes easy. Everything requires effort and understanding and dialogue. But if you choose right, then results arrive. My second chart is titled "More Value to the Telecom Industry." And, of course, In the audience today, we have telecom carriers like Sparkle, we have vendors like Juniper, you have other operators like Equinix, we have domestic carriers, and I see some customers and friends here. So there are many types of industry here, all part of the telecom network. But truly, let me say, this is a call to arm for the telco carriers, okay? We've been, for way too long, unbalanced in our business, okay? Carrying the burden of more cost, more investment needs, while other sectors were enjoying the revenues coming out of the big digital revolution. So let me use this audience to call my call to arms to telco to, first of all, regain the pivotal role we have. And together with the pivotal role, of course, regain an appropriate value recognition. There is a lot of discussion, at least in Europe, but also in the US, about the fair share approach, whereby we need to understand rules where we can have a more even distribution of value among OTTs and network provider, because the situation of today is imbalanced. So really, carriers must regain a pivotal role in the market and must regain an appropriate higher value recognition. Then specifically on submarine cable, of course, submarine cable is one of the specialty, I would say, is the number one specialty of Sparkle, among many other things. But with a focus on strategy in submarine cable industry, we all know 99% of the traffic is carried by submarine cables and so on. Submarine cable industry is a very complicated issue. It's becoming, I would say, more and more complicated. It's a combination of policies, permits, technology, land operation, marine operation, technology, of course, and then operation skills. So it's a very long chain that goes from raw material to build the cable all the way to operation. Again, call to arm to carriers. Carriers can lobby and have to, and we are indeed, for strategic policies and funding, not just at national level, but also at geopolitical level. I'm referring to you as an example. There are key discussions about, as an example, a so-called Cable Act that will replicate in cable industry what has been done for the CHIPS Act in the US first and in Europe later, because there is now a very clear understanding how submarine cable are a key part of the actual strategy of geopolitical areas. And then there is the telco OTT competition, of course. It's a very interesting exercise. Let me be bold for a second. I think we are in Sparkle doing it quite well so far. It's a very interesting exercise to balance our skills, the added value we bring to the table with the OTT very large needs of bandwidth infrastructure, with the OTT very deep pocket about investments. But we are key. We still are key enablers in developing this infrastructure for many things, for many reasons, from knowledge to institutional support to many other things. So this is another part of the puzzle that we need to focus very well and manage very, very carefully. And there is the geopolitical framework. There is no doubt that in the last 24 months, the geopolitical framework has become more and more complex. The war in Ukraine, the tensions among China and US. I mean, there is a very long list of issues that have a very direct impact on our industry. It's not just something for the politicians to discuss. You know, if you have the money and you have a good business case to build a cable to connect China and the US, you just cannot do it. So easy, very easy piece. and doing everything else is also not easy. Again, this geopolitical challenge is for the carrier like us a value. We have turned it into a value of what we bring into the table because we think, and actually there is a proof of recent actions and success we've had, that we are best suited to work closely with the institutions to solve the non-technical issues. There are blocking issues because with no permits, you can have the technology, you can have the money, you can have the business case, but just do not develop the infrastructure. And when you develop physical infrastructure like we do, it can be a data center, it can be a submarine cable, it can be something else, but if it's physical, then you need to manage the local issue because physical happens in one specific area. It is not in the cloud. It's something happening in one city, in one street, in one country, in one island, or whatever the case. So this is another value for the carriers to put on the table. Two final items, as always, people and skills. To develop our industry, we really need a combination of many different skills. Can be technical, can be economical, financial, can be marketing skills, can be commercial skills. Because as I said, all the things we do, it's really a mix as a combination of technical, operational, and economical assets. This industry is characterized by a very, to my knowledge and to my judgment, a very high level of skill. All the people in this room, all the people we regularly work with are typically very skilled, very bright people that know what they talk about, but this must be preserved for the ones that are already here, of course, and must be developed for the ones that need to come because the need is increasing. So really a focus for all the managers here, the HR, us, to think how, and without this skill, the things don't happen. So it's not something you add because it's nice, it's something you need because it's truly necessary. And final, I mentioned already technology, let me say software technology, not just the hard piece, the software technology. We need to be more smart because the business is complex. Data and automation is the recipe. It's very easy to say, a bit more difficult to implement. Data is the foundation. With no data, no correct, no complete data, everything else doesn't work. And we've done a number of projects, building our new inventory as an example, and many other projects I'm sure you have in your companies. These are painful projects, long projects. At some stage, you really think you want to give up, but actually you have to hold on and go to the end of it, because with no data, nothing works. And we can no longer work without automation. We can no longer work without analysis, because we cannot process all the information we have. So I will close here. I maybe taken a bit more than expected, but I really wanted to share with you all of this, and hopefully this will also drive some of the discussion. I welcome once again carrier community here, all of you here. We're really delighted of this event, and let's make the most out of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Enrico, and that was really inspiring. And thank you for sharing the strategy and the mission, but also your vision that you have, which is coming ahead to us. So thank you very much for this. Now, let's move immediately into the panel discussion. And hold on, I'll read it for you. I really don't know who's always coming up with those topics. It is the wholesale industry in the digital transformation era, challenges and opportunities, interoperability and interworking in the area of the on-demand services. Can you still repeat that for me, please? Guys, what's out there? That's what we're going to talk about. And thank you again, Enrico, for your introduction on this one, because absolutely there are some, especially on resilience, being smart. I mean, these are the topics we need to talk about. And what I would like to talk about is how we get a bit more smarter. And sometimes for Sparkle people, for instance, be smarter than the competition, because by the end of the day, that's all what it's like. Having said that, I would like to give a quick introduction to my panelists that will tell you quickly who they are, what they do, and don't tell me about your summer break, because otherwise we'll be here for the next day. So, if Daniele, if I may ask you to start, I think the microphone should work. My chair.
So good morning, everybody. My name is Daniele Mancuso. I think everybody knows me here. I am the Chief Product Management at Sparkle, more or less 30 years of bothering people and the telco market. It's going to be fun today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Stefano Andreucci. I'm leading the service provider organization, Italy and South Europe.
Good morning. My name is Laurent Vella. I'm the managing director and founder of Avelia, and now we are part of Eurofiber Group.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm Francesco Vollero, and I am a pre-sales manager for Europe and Middle East for Offerdat.
Okay. Last but not least.
Good morning. My name is Luciano Talarico. I am a telco consultant with the specialization on ISP services in Italy.
Okay, thank you so much. So now you know who's sitting here. And Daniele, if I may ask you to start, because we're going to listen to Daniele for a small presentation. And after that, I'll invite Stefano to do his presentation. So Daniele, floor is yours.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. I know that I need to be fast. So out of my 70 slide, I will comment around 65 to 66. So if we move to the first, and it's okay, perfect. So I would start from the usual chart of every year. It became a tradition now. Let's try to comment it. So the international bandwidth is still raising and basically doubling every 18, 20 to 24 months. We were here last year, and we can confirm that the trend is still the same. As you can see, the compound annual growth rate is still close to 40%. It's not above anymore. I would say this is the first time that we are seeing for 2 consecutive years the CAGR maintaining a little bit down from 40%, but I don't think that this means that the demand is going down. We don't have to forget that we are out of the COVID now, that there are geopolitical frictions, that there are a lot of issues in the industry going on about chipset production. So let's say demand and production of international capacity is not always well aligned and synchronized as it was before. One thing that we need to keep in mind is that the center of the internet is not the US. So for those that thought that that was the center of the internet, this is not true. Europe is the center of the world for what concerns internet and international bandwidth. It's true, however, that content is produced in US and Canada. But due to the let's say, way interconnection flows around the world, all those contents are being copied in the mega data center of the content provider in Europe, and most of Southeast Asia, Africa, even Oceania now is connected through Europe to the big internet. We don't have to forget that most of the 4 petabit that you see here is still produced and exchanged between mega data center of the content providers, 71%. So what can we say out of this chart? Demand is still growing. We should enjoy the continuous demand that we have here. Let's move now a bit down on some sociological issues. Let me disclaimer, I would like to thank, as usual, Telegeography, Data Reportal, and this year's also Raconteur to provide the numbers. We are just aggregating and commenting. So out of 8 billion people that are populating the planet, more or less 5 billion are mobile subscriber, more or less 5 billion are using the internet, and more or less 5 billion as using social network. Social network is something that we need always to keep in mind as one of the big source of the international bandwidth and one of the big sources of consumption of the big internet. Those are data that are a little bit more granular about the utilization of social media, social network. But one main thing that I would like to let you reflect is this. Basically, social media are so popular and are so driving and so thriving and so requesting internet because they respond to a inner need of the human being. We want, from the moment we are born, to leave an heritage of our life, of our experience. And social media are those that are letting in the digital era to achieve this target. So social media will keep on being a big source of the internet demand. Let's drill down. Again, this chart was presented last year. Those are updated data. This is the internet adoption all around the world. As you can see, there are market areas in red, market regions, where the adoption compared to the total population of the area is still below 50%. This means that in India, for example, 50% of the population or even more is not having a continuous and stable access to the internet. Those are absolute numbers. If you sum all the numbers of Africa and if you sum all the numbers of Southeast Asia, we easily get to half of the world population. Again, 8 billion against, let's say, more or less 5 billion. 70% is not accessing still. So our responsibility as carriers and our goose business as carriers is to go and invest on those areas. And that's an excerpt of what Sparkle is doing. You can see the blue and Raman cable systems over there. We are getting to India. We want to get to India. India is still a place where internet is not fully present. So we are going to invest there with subsea cables. We are going to invest there with our IP network. We are investing in Africa, but we are investing in other regions of the world. We are investing in Latin America. We are acquiring infrastructure over Monet, Curie, Cibras. We are building data centers, and we are building data centers out of landing stations that we are developing. Because again, we are going to answering a need that is here since from the prehistory. When people were looking for water, they were creating villages around rivers and close to the beaches. And their villages were becoming towns and then cities and then nations. And today, ecosystems of interconnected service providers are being born around subsea cables, because subsea cables are transporting 99% of that international bandwidth that you saw before. International subsea cables are the source of our digital life today. They are critical infrastructure, they must be developed, and they must be preserved. So you will see examples like Panama Digital Gateway That is a data center that we have built in order to maximize our presence in Latin America. And we are doing in the Middle East. We are doing in Italy with Genova Lagaccio, and so on and so forth. Let's drill down a bit. Let's not be limited to the internet. Data, as Enrico said, is the source of our digital life. Without data today, everything becomes meaningless. We cannot have tools to analyze our life, how our life proceed, if there is not a continuous production and exchange of data. So this is an infographic by Raconteur. It's a bit old, it's of 2019, but this means that the numbers there are just increasing today. And this is basically representing one day from the data production point of view. So in one day, in 2019, 463 exabytes of data were produced. This data must be, of course, produced, must be stored, and are continuously moved from one place to the other in order to let big data, analytics, AI, and other systems to do their job and take out statistics, predictive actions, and basically give us hints about how the weather will be tomorrow, about how my business should evolve tomorrow, about what products we should invest tomorrow. So if we consider data and the macro trend, I'm going back to the slides of last year, in 2030, data will explode because all macro trends that we have here, physical to digital, human augmentation, digital enterprises, autonomous vehicles, industry hyper-automation, call it metaverse, call it extended reality, augmented reality, virtual reality. All this is a factory of data. So those 463 exabytes of data in one day of 2019 will become 1,000, will become zettabytes. And this, of course, brings not only the demand, but brings associated challenges. How can we keep on going with this pace of rate? Is it a matter of sustainability? Is it a matter of experience? Is it a matter of trust? It's a matter of everything. Sustainability is one of the things that we should really be focused on, both from financial point of view, but also from environmental. Let's remember that there is no plan B and there is no planet B. Data production, data storage means that we have mega data centers that are consuming an unbelievable amount of energy today. And therefore it means pollution. And it means how to be sure that we can keep on going with our life, that we can keep on going with our digital life without killing the very basic source of life that is our planet. The experience, of course, must evolve because when you have this amount of data, your customers are used to get information and data analytics and connectivity and experience in a matter of milliseconds. You cannot proceed with the traditional business. And of course, you need to be aware about problems of diversification, problems of lock-in. There is not anymore lock-in. And then there is the trustability. When everything is becoming automated and there are not anymore human interaction, but there are machines interacting one another, and there are machines controlling supply chains, and there are machines controlling the digital life, machines controlling critical industry, mission critical industry, you need to be sure that the machines that are interacting one another are the ones that are expected to do so, and therefore trust becomes a very important, I would say, sustainable topic in order to proceed with the hyper-automation. As usual, technology is what I say is coming to give us a hand And it's our responsibility to understand how this technology should really be used. A couple of years ago, I spoke here about the APIs, the work that MEF is doing in enabling east to west business interaction, because that is automating the way we interact with one another, and therefore reducing errors, reducing mistakes, increasing experience. Last year, I spoke about the blockchain and our initiative in order to maximize trust. This year, I didn't know about what to talk, to be honest with you. A couple of days ago, I was in my room with Lorella, Antonella, and Fabio, and we were discussing also with an analyst about AI, generative AI. And we were asking ourselves how generative AI could have an impact, for example, in the business operations of a telco, and specifically a wholesale carrier. So we started to speculate, but then we said, okay, why don't we ask to the real actor there? So we asked to the generative AI. Now, of course, we can imply that there is a conflict of interest in the answer from ChatGPT, but unbelievably enough, we found out 12 chapters that then the AI were developing in paragraphs and in detailed description. How about the implementation of generative AI in a telco and an international carrier can support and improve our business operations? I'm not going to reading all of them. I will leave the slide here because Eric is going to killing me. But again, the issue here is that technology is the driver to improve our business standing and our business posture. But technology should be used in a responsible and ethical way. Responsible means that we cannot simply think to apply technology to do the same thing as we do today, just faster. We need to change our mindset. We need to change our approach. Technology is here to change dramatically the way we do things today. Not just to do them faster, but to do them better and differently. Having said that, Stefano, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Grazie, Daniele. Grazie mille. So, okay. So now that was easy, right? You can easily take over and go with the flow.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Daniele. Grazie.
So, good morning. First of all, thanks a lot. It's really a pleasure to be hosted by Carrier Community. Can you hear me? Yeah. To be hosted by Carrier Community and to stay with our friends of Sparkle. So Enrico, Lorella, Pierpaolo, and Daniele. So it's really a pleasure for us to see in person. So first of all, let's start with the usual first slide about Juniper. With Juniper, Juniper is a networking company. So our goal is to connect people and companies. Very simple, this goal. And we have built since the beginning the infrastructure of internet. And the future now is only about AI-driven and cloud-delivered equipment. And where we are investing now. So the question now is, what is happening to the networks now? So let's start with the traffic growth. As Daniele was saying, the traffic is continuing to grow. And we have seen the pandemic change almost overnight the traffic patterns and also the network architecture, almost overnight. The traffic is continuing to grow, new services, emerging new services, machine to machine as well, IoT, 5G, but also all the AI applications are changing dramatically the traffic patterns. And the other topic is the new way of working. We have seen, the raising hybrid model of working, and we don't see now only people returning to their offices, but we still see a lot of people working from home. And so we believe also that the hybrid model is going here to stay. Also, we saw a rise of security threats. In fact, we believe that security must be built into the networks. It's not something that is outside of the network. So it's embedded. And last but not least, the cloudification. So all the companies, all the enterprises are running the workloads on public cloud. So I will start, asking some questions. The first question is how the networks should adapt to these changes. So I'm very good in asking questions, not very good in answering, but I will try. So to answer to this question is, I would like to share with you our vision and our philosophy. The philosophy behind our vision is only about enriching end user experience. So when I think about end user experience, I think about, the crappy calls where everything is pixelated and, the voice is cracking. It's something that is very annoying. So I hate, when you're asking, I can't hear you, and we close the connection. It's something that we don't want. So how we can, improve the user experience? The only way to improve the end user experience is only, to have maniacal insights from the network, assurance and automation. And to get these insights, you need to have only two critical things. The first one, number one, is a microservice cloud. And number two, you need to have AI tools. With those three critical things, I think that you can improve the end user experience. But the second question I have here, again, good question, but not very sure about my answer, is about where do we stand with the AI networking? So I was looking, days ago, I was trying to prepare the presentation. I was looking at this chart from Gartner, and you see that, many enterprises, many companies are still in the innovation phase. And when I tried to look into, the reasons why, I read, the report, and the reason is more about people. When I say people, I say we, us as a vendor, the partners, the customers, the people that are running the network are worried about changing their role, about losing their jobs. And the network management people, they don't trust the insights that are getting from the network. That is something that we need to change together. And at the same time, there is a desire of the companies, as Daniele and Enrico, they were saying, there's a desire to reduce the cost, to optimize, and to be, more smart. And the AI tools, are really key to obtain this goal. And the third question I have is it AI real, AI networking real, or is something, is again the other guy from Juniper that is saying this word? I believe that is real. AI networking is real, and we have some example. One example is ServiceNow, our customer, and many enterprises rely on for automation. And they selected Juniper to replace the full stack, wireless, wired, and WAN, and they reduced on 90%, the tickets. But let's hear back directly the customer.
We use, for our 17,000 employees, we use Juniper's wireless products, the Mist product, set of products, to make sure that we are delivering a stellar experience to our employees. They really can work from anywhere. It might be in an office, could be in a collaboration space, and could be at home. But the whole point being, it's a seamless experience, and the employee never has to think about where they are. They know they're always going to get always-on reliant service. And for the few times that, there are issues, really a drive to proactively helping IT organizations proactively resolve those issues, so an employee never has to think about it. And we partnered with Juniper with their own AI technology. You were talking earlier about AI, and we've driven a 90% reduction in the number of issues reported by employees on wireless. And think about that. Like, they're not wasting time thinking about the network, thinking about, is a wireless going to scale or perform? They're doing what we want them to do, which is further the strategic objectives of ServiceNow.
not only customer voice, but also Gartner recognition. This is the third Juniper's consecutive year as a leader in the Emoji Quadrant for LAN and wireless and wired LAN infrastructure. But to sum up a little bit about AI, so Juniper is able to help the customers to deploy network faster. Then once the network is deployed, is able to reduce the number of tickets. And for those that remain open, to fix them faster. And last but not least, to help the customers to provide the best business outcomes. But I don't want, to close my presentation not mentioning, our best in breed, the chipset. We suffered a lot during the last 2 years. Now situation is going to be back to normality. And I would like to mention, that Juniper is investing a lot in chips and the proprietary chipset. And, we are ahead the bandwidth curve, and we are leading the 400 gig, and we are investing a lot to lead the transition to 800 gig. And when I think about, when I joined Juniper many years ago, I was selling, a router like this, several rack units to manage 20 gigabits, sorry. And now in a but you were rich. And now we are selling, in a single package, in a single chipset that is able to manage 28.8 terabits per slot. Per chipset. So that is unbelievable. And I would like to also say that, Juniper is investing a lot in optimized chipset. So when I say optimized, not only bandwidth, but for example, for multi-service edge, we think that the MX Trio, that is the other chipset we are investing on, is our best in class. So I would like to close again about the AI networking. So 2 messages that I would like to repeat, hoping that, at the end of the day, you will repeat with me. So AI networking, we think that is real. And the second message is that, AI networking is something that can help you to improve the end user experience. That is our goal. So together, we need to be smarter than before, and getting the insights and the data and AI tools are really, really key. So thanks a lot.
That's it. So Daniele, I think that we just heard the statement that they will be cheaper as well, right? For the coming future, no?
Yeah, absolutely. 28.8 terabit for €5.
Sconto.
I was not expecting from you, Eric.
There was a slide.
I saw it as well. No? Oh, was it the wrong slide?
So then your next role will be purchasing, no? Department.
I can consult that for sure. So anyway, let's move in it, and thank you, Daniele. Thank you, Stefano, for your insight and for your valuable presentation, and give us a glimpse of where we're heading to, and the word which is coming back all the time, and I know we talk about this for years and years, but we just saw the reason, and also in the presentation from Enrico, and that is that we are in a digital transformation. Now, to make it to put it a little bit more in the, let's say, in the delta, Daniele, for you, a couple of words. Digital transformation, and especially for us here in the wholesale, what does it mean, and what should we look after for?
I don't want to talk about processes, data, which is the usual definition. So for me, as I frequently say, it's the process of consumerization. We are used today to, as consumers, to consume services through a specific level of experience. We use handles, we use to have immediate response to queries, to search. So the wave of this process called consumerization that is coming from consumers, then is being reflected to enterprises, then is being reflected to let's call them internet service providers. And finally, it's coming to us as waves, as real waves that they start, sweet on the offshore. The impact on the beach, which is the carrier, is always stronger. Because first of all, we are the last ring of the chain, and we are unprepared for this kind of.
We saw that, right?
Yeah, we know. We are aware that we are unprepared for this kind of experience. We certainly cannot cope with an angry user that is not able to complete his search on Google because we have couple of 400 gigs down specifically on the connection with that specific data center. So this is first. Again, we should learn from those that are getting out part of our revenues, from those that used to be called OTT, over the top, in the past, but now I'm calling them under the bottom because they are having more investment than us in subsea cables and infrastructures. But they started from there. They started to consume networks in a way that we were not able to even to forecast, to imagine. So let's learn from them to improve our business. Let's use technology as they do to do things differently, not just to do things faster.
Okay. Stefano, you want to add something, especially from, let's say, a vendor point of view? I mean, how do you see us being in the wholesale and the carriers and the operators, how we should act, what is coming, where do you see that we really should look out for the digital transformation? What are some key points? I mean, you mentioned already one in your presentation, but anything to add?
Yeah, I mentioned in the presentation that I think that to be smarter, you need to really to build the automation on the full stack. When I say automation, it's again, it's not a buzzword. It means to have everything, with data. So the network will be transformed. At the end, today, we are using the networks in an old way at the end, because at the end, all the nodes, we are pulling out the data, and the nodes should become a completely different, approach. They should become sources of telemetry. If you are not getting the data, you are not getting the insights, you can, run this kind of transformation.
That's what Daniele just said. We need to learn from, let's say, what the OTTs did, right?
Exactly. And these guys are, are getting data from everywhere. And you get data not only, and there are technologies, you get data from, the network, but also from the applications. And if you are getting everything and all the data, it's a big transformation for the service providers. And there are many technologies that can help you. And getting the data, you will have, you will become a data-driven company, completely different story. So it's a big change. And I think that is not simple, but will be the only way to survive. It's not something that we can say that is optional today. It's mandatory.
How long do we have? I mean, we need to be fast, right? I mean, it's moving faster and faster and faster. Please, gentlemen, jump in if you want to. What should we do? I mean, it is nice to say, yeah, well, that's where we're going. We know this is happening. We need to do it. But we need to do it. But how long do we have?
Yes, this is a very important question, because I think also someone says that operation of networks can be also impacted by this big change. I am an operation guy. I think it is necessary for operation people to move fast to these new technologies and to be prepared to operate a new job, because automation is important, is useful, but human can learn to manage the automation. So there is a lot of change also in the operation field of the networks. Learning also from data.
Yeah, but Stefano just mentioned before Laurent comes in, but he just mentioned, listen, guys, forget the old traditional business strategies and process. Forget about it. I mean, it's nice for you to say because it's like the iPhone. Every year there's a new one. Should I buy every year a new one? I mean, from an OpEx point of view, it will be impossible. But I agree with you. We need to let go or take the best out of the, let's say, the traditional business strategies we have, but move into the new ones. And Laurent, you want to comment on that?
Yes, just as Enrico said, digital transformation is about really painful projects, really painful projects, but it's the only way to survive, to grow, and to success for our industry. On our side, we are a small French operator. Now we are part of a bigger carrier, but Eurofiber is investing a lot to have good leader vision about digital transformation, really good team to integrate, to implement, and really good suppliers, partners, vendors to do it. Because if you don't have the good technology, you can have a great front desk. You don't automatize everything in your processes. Just a quick story. When Avelia, as a small French carrier, enters the wholesale business, the first thing our prospects ask us is, do you have APIs? Do you have availabilities on a portal, etc., etc.? And thankfully, we had already a portal for partners to buy directly through this portal our products of connectivity, of voice, of cybersecurity, and we just have to add this API. So quick work. And now we are working on it to add more and more services. To be honest, I think that 90% of our customers right now doesn't use our API, even if they have it. So you were talking about how to do business in the wholesale world. I think we have a lot of work to do to automatize, to do it faster, quicker, and better.
Okay, thank you. Talking about the APIs, maybe Francesco, you can jump in here. I mean, sure. What is the role of the APIs in the telco digital transformation, and how are APIs sharing the way digital telco business should go, should flow, I mean, it's, we just heard an example. Yeah, you need APIs. Okay, we'll have APIs. 90% are not using it.
Yeah, that's true. The major issue.
Education?
Kinda, yes, but it's also joint venture, because if you think about it, long time ago, telcos companies were having racks for every single company. You had a rack of Cisco, rack of Juniper, rack of whatever gonna be. Now, the problem is that we are shifting from hardware, to network functions that are virtualized. The problem is those virtual functions are getting transformed as well. So, they started from just being what it was on the hardware to be on the virtual. So they didn't have API at all. Now, Juniper, for example, but other companies as well, are building their products in a microservices, with a microservices mindset, so that can be consumed easily by the carrier providers. One example is that 9 hours ago, Deutsche Telekom said that they are going to do or expose their own APIs to the world. And Ericsson is going to take advantage of it. So this means that we are really going towards that. But the problem is how much time it's needed for this digital transformation, for implementing the API everywhere. Maybe Laurent had a lucky strike because it's a small company. So they called innovate faster. But bigger companies, they struggle because they have processes in places from years and years. So doing this is tricky.
All right. Daniele?
Well, let me say that if Deutsche Telekom is exposing its own APIs to the world, I don't think the world will do much with those APIs. You need to have a standard way to talk. So Deutsche Telekom or Sparkle or anywhere else, if wants to be sure that the business goes to the direction that we said, should apply to provide to the world standard APIs. We need to communicate each other talking the same language. Standardization is the fundamental way that telcos were struggling along 100 years of existence, and we still keep standardization at the very top priority in our mind. So this is one. And I don't say because I am in the board of director of MEF, but because I am a firm believer of the fact that organizations that are doing standards should be always kept as top priority to contribute and to have standards way to operate. Once again, we talk about processes. It's not enough to think that automation is what is going to solving all our problems. If we simply automate the manual processes and we leave the processes as they are, we are still the very old telco compared to the OTT. We need to cut part of those processes that in 2023 are useless. If I'm going to build a service for one of my partners, for one of my customers, and I know that this service is provided on net, and it's a layer 1 service, which is my core business, why should I cross the whole part of processes of feasibility? No. There must be an automated tool that is intercepting this commercial request and is providing directly to the customer the quote, saying, if you want it implemented now, not in 90 days, now, because I have the bandwidth, it's going to costing you X% less. Are you interested? Yes, no, implemented, delivered. This is the way that digital transformation shall impact carrier. And this is because most of the digital transformations projects have failed so far.
Okay, so we're talking about end-to-end business automation. Stefano.
No, I fully agree with Daniele. The only, my experience is that when we are starting, to talk about automation project with customers, with the friends, there is a lot of resistance because the people, first of all, they think that is a threat for them. It's not an help. No, he's part of the operation team. So I think that it's tough to convince your team and say, no, now you have this tool, you get the insights from this tool, and then you operate. I think that, even to convince, the people, when we have, the calls, internal calls, and we discuss about this project, the people that say, no, this project is impossible. Do not spend on time on this project because the people, the operations that they don't want. So I think that
it's because we are engaging the wrong people. No, it's true, Stefano. Again, Enrico said people and skills. We have probably forgotten around the years that when there is a shift in the technology, the shift must be reflected until the last employee of the company. We need to bring culture one level up every time we are thinking even to implement a new technological enabler. Otherwise, there will be people that are discussing about automation, but are confused between AI, between machine learning and robotic process automation. And then projects will take a wrong way and they will arrive to an end without really implementing anything beneficial to the company.
Okay, Luciano, you want to add?
Yes, I agree. Because the tool, the technology implemented must be useful both for business but also for the operation point of view. If operation people doesn't see the benefit from this kind of change, project will fail. Also, I agree for the business perspective that I run a small ISP, and I would like to buy a service, yes or no, with a big discount for this kind of.
And I also would like to, decline this service on the spot and move maybe from provider to provider.
Yes.
Within an hour.
Yeah.
Probablemente. That would be,
We will see.
We'll see. Laurent?
No, just to add, in France right now, but I think it's the same all over Europe. We are really struggling to hire people, to hire good people, motivated people, and to keep them. I'm pretty lucky because we don't have a lot of turnover, but if we don't automatize all the low value projects, all the low value actions, you don't keep your high value people and staff. And they really want to improve themselves, to learn. And if you don't keep learning things, new things, you just lose them and they will quit your company. So you need to do it.
No, absolutely. And I mean, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we could talk the importance of 5G and talk about surveillance and security and whatever. But looking a little bit on the time, and I know everybody is busy, I would like to move into the closing round for everybody. And maybe Daniele, if I may start with you, what would be your takeaway for the audience? What should we look at, and what should we change? Maybe.
I would say that ultimately we need to change our mindset. That's the perspective I would like to leave. Because again, if we want that really we get there where apparently everybody here on the panel and everybody on the audience wants to get, mindset and culture and skills is the very basic shift that we need to do. And then technology and processes will come.
That's all human assets in a company.
That's
what Enrico
entirely human. If human are not able to change mindset and to have a vision, technology per se doesn't resolve anything. That's my point of view.
Okay. Luciano?
Okay. I think we will learn from the experience of Sparkle, and I think is a very good example, not only for Italy but for worldwide basis. Because there is the vision. I know there is very good people in Sparkle and in team as well. I work as a consultant for 20 years in team, and I know this. So I thanks you for the opportunity to be here, and we will check the next year the situation where we are.
Okay, thank you, Francesco.
I will say that what Daniela said, it's spot on. There is no other way. One of the things is that we also need to start working together. You know, the vendors and the carriers need to know where they want to be. And they have to demand us as vendors how we can help them to get there in the short, like with a Dijkstra algorithm, in the short path.
But I always listen, and trust me, I do since a couple of years on some moderation and panel sessions. We always talk about business models and partnering or whatever. And every time, with all due respect, Francesco, but we need to work together with it. Then do it. Then start doing it. What the hell are you waiting for? Do it. Forget the process. Just move.
I think we are here.
You make wrong decisions. That's fine, but move on. And
totally
don't stay in the traditional, old, classical. I'm the most oldest traditional guy here on the stage, but so I know what I'm talking about. Do it.
Yeah, but the problem is that you need to fail fast. You have to have a startup mindset with those projects.
I don't want to hear about problems. I want to hear about challenges and just to move on.
Exactly. But that's the point. You need to fail fast. And to fail fast, you need the mindset.
Is the human asset part. Because we decide where to go, what to do, how to use.
But what Francesco is saying is extremely important. Telcos in 100 years didn't learn to fail. Failure is something that is a part of any project. If you don't fail, your ultimate result will be crappy. You need to fail a number of times in order to get where you really want to get. So you must learn to fail and fail fast.
Sì, okay. Grazie. Laurent, closing statement. What should we look at? I will not interrupt. I'll promise.
If I have to sum up, I think we are not talking about technology. We are talking about human resources, mindset, culture of enterprise. And one word you said is about standardization. Right now, each time you start a new project with a new vendor, with a new partner, with a new customer, you start a new one from the start, and so you don't fail fast because you have to do it all over again, and it's a bit boring. But
that's why Francesco is right. Partner and learn from each other, so you don't all have to start from scratch. Don't do it. Be efficient. Be agile. Move on. Closing statement. Famous last words. Stefano.
AI networking is real.
Con un sconto.
And next time, don't talk about sconto. You just, what is happening to you?
No, it's good.
No, I think that we are here to help, you, and we are really open to cooperate. And there are many, many opportunities in front of us. So we must risk a little bit more, I think, because we are too conservative. Everyone, no, I'm not saying, you, me, everyone, we are a little bit too conservative. So let's try to do new things. Let's try to trust the tools, because we have the tools, and the tech guys are trusting the tools. So let's try to trust the tools and see what happens. So what could happen worse than this? So I think that we need to start, use the technologies we have and try to see what happens. Fail, we could fail, you're right. But if we don't try, So again.
Message is clear. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank you all for staying with us here. I would like to special thanks to Enrico, of course, for his vision that he shared with us here this morning. I would like to thank Daniele. Always a pleasure having you. Stefano, Laurent, Francesco, and Luciano. Thank you so much. But foremost, thank you. And the message is, we need to change. We can do it. We decide to do it. And and if we sometimes fail, so what? Va bene. Let's move on. Vero? Andiamo. Grazie.